Welcome to Roadmap to 1 Million. My name is Stacey Zeal, and if you're looking to make more money, gain your time back, and rapidly grow your visibility so that you can impact way more people with your brilliance, you're in the right place. This podcast is your one-stop shop for turning your online business dreams into a reality. My main goal is to give women entrepreneurs just like you the marketing strategies, guidance, and expert insights you need to hit that $1 million milestone and beyond. Whether you're a coach, a consultant, or an online brand that wants to make a big impact, Roadmap to 1 Million gives you the actionable strategies and inspiration you need so that you can implement right away, no fluff, no fuss. So CEO, are you ready to buckle up and accelerate your growth? Be sure to follow the show and let's dive in. Get ready to uncover your roadmap to 1 million. Hey there, fellow entrepreneurs. Are you doing all the things but hit a revenue ceiling? You're building an audience, you're creating content and making sales, but you feel like something is holding you back from your next milestone. If that sounds like you, it's time to take our What's Your Missing Marketing Link quiz, your go-to tool to identify what's missing from your marketing strategy that might be holding back your business growth. Whether it's fixing your funnel or diversifying your efforts, this quiz will pinpoint those marketing missteps and guide you to success. Take the quiz today and uncover the missing link in your path to 7 figures and beyond. So head over to staceyzeal.co/quiz because success begins with identifying and fixing those mistakes. So don't miss out. Your business deserves to have the impact you desire. Visit staceyzeal.co/quiz. That's STACYZEAL.co/quiz to get a detailed report and the resources you need to help you grow. All right, let's jump back into the episode. Hello. Welcome to Roadmap to 1 Million. My name is Stacey Zeal and I am your host. I am excited for you to be here today. So if you are new, welcome. This is a marketing podcast for business owners. I really want to help you to understand the right strategies, the right systems you have to have in place, the support you need to get to the next level, the secrets that you don't know that you can't Google. I want to provide that for you so that you can take this information and grow your business and get to the next level, right? Like whether that's getting the 7 figures, multi 6 figures, whatever it is. I love being able to help people to understand where the blocks are, find that clarity, and use all of the knowledge that I have been so, privileged to be able to acquire over the years to be able to take things to the next level. Okay. So if you're new here, make sure you're following the show. Make sure that you are, catching all of our past episodes. We have a lot of great content here. And if you've been rocking with me for a little while, you've been here before, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing the show with your friends and inviting people and leaving reviews and all the things, right? Like I really appreciate that kind of stuff. And so if you would be so kind to keep doing that, right? Keep sharing it with your friends, talk about it on social media, leave us reviews, all that kind of good stuff. You hear something that you like, share it with somebody, right? Because when we all, I truly believe that it's a space for all of us to win. I do not believe in kind of like gatekeeping information and not giving people the things that they need to be successful or the things that I've been privileged enough to acquire over the years. So now that I've said that, please make sure that you are sharing, leaving reviews, all that kind of good stuff, because it's definitely super helpful. So as you can tell by the title today, we are going to be talking about some mistakes that y'all are making and that, kind of small businesses make in general that keep them stuck at that 6 figures. And so what I'm going to talk about is what these 3 mistakes are. Then I'm going to talk about why each mistake is holding you back. And I'm going to tell you what to do about it, because, I can't just give you something. I got to tell you what to do about it. Okay. So let's jump in. Let's get started. So mistake number one that I see small businesses making is that they always are coming up with new ideas. And I'm speaking specifically in this episode about marketing, right? Like I'm not talking about new offers and stuff like that, right? But as entrepreneurs, coming up with new ideas is literally in our DNA, right? We, come up with new campaign ideas. We want to get on this new channel. We have new offers. We have all these things to grow. But in order for us to get to the next level, in order for us to go from that six figure mark to that 7 million mark, we have to be able to double down on what works. So I had a client who was a lawyer. She was doing live webinars, I'm sorry, excuse me, to promote her live event. And she was doing these live webinars, she was doing different topics. But then we started to dig into the data, right? And we started to really kind of figure out, like, started to talk about like what's actually, working. And we saw that there was one particular topic that got the most signups and got the most interest, the most sales, right? That resulted in sales of the event. So instead of doing a new one the next time, we repeated the same one. And guess what? It was successful, right? People still came, people still signed up, people still, bought and ended up coming to the event, right? And so I want you to understand that coming up with new things is not always the best thing for you to do, right? It is really about figuring out what is that thing that works and investing in that. And so, when this client comes to do her live event again, right? Like, guess what? When it comes up, because it's coming up again, we're going to advise her to run the same webinar, right? To really dig back into that webinar and go through the other webinar she's done through the year to figure out what's the best one, right? Why? Because instead of doing a new webinar, we need to focus on getting that webinar in front of new people. So I want you to flip how you're thinking about it, right? Instead of coming up with a new webinar, how do we get new people into the webinar? Because we already know this works. We already know that when we send, people through this webinar, that it converts and it gets people to the desired place that we want them to go. But instead of thinking about like, hey, well, do I need to come up with something else? Because maybe the people who didn't attend weren't interested in the topic. That might not even be the case, right? They may have been busy that day. They may have been like, you know what, I'm gonna catch the replay. They may have been like, you know what, now it's not a good time, but next week, next month, that's a better time, right? So you don't have to come up with new stuff all the time, right? And instead of continuing to market new stuff to the same people, I want you to market stuff that works to new people, right? You're always figuring out ways to get new people into your presentations and new people into your world instead of trying to get new things in front of the same people. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And so, because I think about like her audience has grown since the last event. So why do we need to come up with something new, right? Why can't we just present the same workshop to the new folks? And also, like, I don't know about you, but I watch multiple webinars for the same people, right? At different points of my journey. I may have, saw the webinar and signed up for it because I was curious. I watched it. I'm like, okay, that was cool, like the methodology, whatever. But right now is not the right time for me to invest in this, right? I stay on their email list, get their emails, continue to be nurtured. They're staying top of mind. And then when I am ready to invest, I'm like, oh, they have another webinar coming up. Even if it's the same topic, I'm like, oh, let me go ahead and jump into this webinar. Go ahead and, see what it's all about. See if he offers the same, see if it's different, right? Like, that's what people are doing. So you don't need to come up with new stuff all the time, right? And even, when I think about that campaign, right, we did a debrief after the campaign wrapped. So the purpose of that debrief, which is really kind of like a document that we take our clients through after the campaign wraps to really kind of make notes of what worked, what didn't, and all kinds of different things. So that way, the point of that is to be able to reference again this year so we won't have to reinvent the wheel, right? That was the purpose of it. That is the purpose of having campaigns that are properly wrapped up so that when you do it again, because you're trying to get to a place where things are repeatable, right? You're doing that live event every year. You do that promotion every few months, right? You want to make sure that stuff is repeatable. So you have to close the loop on the campaign. And then doing things like debriefs and stuff like that, that is what works. And I want you to also, to do your debrief, include your marketing. Because some of y'all are doing debriefs about how much revenue you made, and that's fine, and that's fantastic, but you're not digging into the marketing of what emails did we send? What webinars did we do? What did we observe moving through this process? What tools and tech do we need to put in place now so that we don't have a problem that we had last year, right? Those are the kinds of things. That's what happens when you're focusing on repeating things and making it better rather than coming up with new stuff all the time. And it's a lot less stressful. I don't know about you, but for me, putting together a webinar takes a lot. You need new slides, you need landing page, you need to set your zaps up, you need to set up your email sequences, so many things, right? But instead of coming up with a new one, what if you recycled the same one and you just updated it, refined it, and delivered it even better than you have before? Right? So that is the mistake number one, is always trying to figure out what new things you can do and what new promotions you can put in front of the same people instead of taking what works for some people and putting it in front of new people and giving those new people the same, treatment and warming up and nurturing and all that kind of stuff that you gave to the people who were warm and ready and jumped on your webinar and bought from you right then, right? New people. That's what we need to focus on, getting new people into your world always. All right. Mistake number two. Mistake number two is ignoring your data. Y'all, as a marketer, I'm a deep, deep, deep marketer. I'm a marketer at heart. I look at commercials differently than a lot of people. I'm always looking like, ooh, who's the intended audience for this commercial? Right? Like that is how I watch marketing. That is how I see, I see a billboard. I'm like, oh, I wonder, like, who's the target audience for this billboard? That can't be. Who are they targeting? That messaging is off, right? So I'm a marketer at heart. Okay, been doing this for 13 years, right? I love it. I live and breathe it. So it drives me nuts when I have clients that tell me, "Oh yeah, somebody installed Google Analytics on our site, but I haven't looked at it." What? Why? Right? I get it though. I get it. You're busy, you're creating content, you're being HR, you're keeping up your finances, you're putting out fires, all the things, right? I get it. I'm a CEO too, so I get it. And so analyzing your marketing data just is not a super high priority on your list, right? Like it's one of those things that if you don't prioritize it, it's easily dropped to the side. So the things like where your leads are coming from, right? Like on a high level, you're like, I know where my leads come from, I know where my sales come from, but good marketing, I'll say, requires more than that. It requires you knowing more than just revenue and leads, right? It requires you knowing more than just, these amount of people showed up to my webinar and I made this much money. That's important for sure. But it's more so like you can get more granular. The more granular you get, the bigger those revenue numbers become because you have to understand what is influencing that revenue number. What influenced those people to join onto this particular webinar? Was it the topic? Right? Is that a piece of it? Sure. But what are what kind of nurturing did they have to do in order for them to come to this webinar? Is this even the first webinar of the viewers that they've attended? Maybe most of your people come to 3 or 4 of your webinars before they buy from you. That's something that you want to know, right? So when you aren't pulling your data proactively, you don't know what levers to pull to increase revenue. You end up needing to do a bunch of cash infusions every month because your pipeline isn't full. And cash infusions and random promos are not going to take you to 7 figures, right? That's not going to get you there and help you to be able to sustain it, right? A pipeline full of leads that you're consistently nurturing and converting, that's what's going to take you to the next level. And so it's consistently driving quality traffic to your sales page, right? If you're not doing sales calls and, and that kind of thing, it's consistently driving quality traffic to your sales page. So if you have a course and you're not driving traffic to it, how are people going to buy from you, right? How are people going to buy your course if nobody goes to the page? People got to go to the page in order for them to buy from you. So you need to know how that page converts, because when you know how that page converts, then hey, I can update these, 1, 2, or 3 things, and that'll get me did that get me a better result? Or did it give me a worse result? Right? You need to understand that. So in order for you to hit that next level, you have to have a data-driven approach when it comes to your marketing. And so let me give you an example. Like I have a client that was, they had tested some direct mail campaigns kind of, before we started working together or whatever, right? They started testing some direct mail campaigns. So like mailing, postcards and things like that, right? And they started to get some signals that it was working. It's like, oh yeah, like we're getting the responses. I'm like, oh, great, fantastic. So what our team did is we went and built out a strategy for the direct mail campaign that was based on their data. And in putting together that strategy, we started to figure out like, okay, part of this is figuring out where are we going to drive people to, right? Like, how are we going to make sure that we, send these postcards out to people and they receive them, but also how do we get them into our funnels, right? And so what we did is we looked at their top converting funnel, and that's how we decided what to focus the mailer about, right? It's driving traffic to the top converting funnel, not creating something new, not using a funnel that you like, oh, this will be cool, this will be interesting, or, oh, I just created this lead magnet and I think it's going to do well, right? It's really kind of shifting from vibes to data, from feelings to data. And when you do that, when you make that shift, your marketing starts to feel more grounded. It starts to feel more strategic. You start to feel like you're working a plan, right? Instead of just reacting to things, right? You're being more proactive than you are reactive. Okay. You can focus on making something better. And you have that data to base your strategy on. You have that data to guide you. Okay. And so when you analyze your data regularly, you'll know what levers to pull to create significant growth. And so that's why it's a big mistake to have Google Analytics and your social insights and all that kind of stuff and not be actually looking at it and not even just like pulling it and putting it on a spreadsheet. I mean actually looking at it, analyzing it, making decisions based off of it, testing some things, iterating on some things, and reading the data to figure out like, well, how did that influence what I was doing? Right. I added a video to my sales page. Did that take my conversions up? Did it take it down? Did it not make a difference? You need to know these things because if you say, hey, my adding a video to my sales page made me book more sales calls, then you're like, oh, I need to do some more video, right? I need to start figuring out where else can I put video to drive people to the next step, right? Like you can start to make more money because then you're like, hey, like I know the data, I know what things I need to improve upon in order for me to generate these bigger revenue numbers that I have. I know how many people I need in my funnel. I know how many sales calls I need to make. I know how many people I need to raise their hand to say, hey, I'm interested. I know how many people I need to drive to the sales page, right? That is what happens when you analyze your data regularly. Okay. So that was number 2. Let's go on to number 3. Mistake number 3 that is keeping you stuck at 7 figures is holding on to your marketing for too long. So I just finished this book. It's called Buy Back Your Time. It's by Dan Martell. And it was great, right? It's really, really good book. I definitely, recommend it. I'm going to make sure that there's a link to it in the description. It really helped me to shift my thinking when it comes to growing my business. And in the book, he talks about how as the CEO, you should be hiring to free up your time, not hiring to grow up not hiring to grow your business. So hire to free up your time, not to grow your business. And the reason he said that, and really kind of his reasoning behind it, is that when you hire to grow your business, you're going to end up spending all your time doing stuff that doesn't lead to revenue, like managing your team and managing people and making sure things get done, right? You still have a whole lot of stuff on your plate that you do not like to do and you do not want to do. But now you have more people to manage. You have more people, you have more responsibilities because now you're a people manager, right? Instead of someone who is going out and growing the business. And so when you hire to free up your time though, right? You hire to take some things off your plate, then you can reallocate that time to doing things that are growing your business, right? So you can reallocate that time that you're spent going back and forth via email and trying to schedule, trying to get somebody to, trying to schedule a talk or, or a speech or something. You could take that time and be working on getting the next speech, building that relationship with somebody who's going to get you to the next one, right? Your admin assistant or your team can logistically set up a meeting, can set this up for you, right? So he talks about, in the book, he also talks about how CEOs should release these activities in the following order, right? So if you think about the things you have to do in the business as a CEO, this is the order in which you need to start to free up your time and to release them in order to be able to reallocate your time to other things. The first thing you need to let go of is admin. So any administrative tasks like your calendar, your email, scheduling this, scheduling that, right? The second thing you need to let go of is a client delivery. And so that is, if you're a lawyer, like if you have a law firm, that's hiring other lawyers to be on your team, right? Having other lawyers to be able to file the trademarks and do the things, right? It's, if you're a sales coach, it's having, someone else be able to be in your programs to be able to deliver your message. Or like for me, for my team, it's having a marketing associate on our team that can help me take over creating strategies for clients eventually, right? So that's client delivery. The next thing is marketing. So we have release admin tasks, then you release client delivery, then you release your marketing, and then you release your sales. And when you release your admin, you reallocate that time to growing your business, right? Once you release client delivery, You reallocate that time to growing your business and doing those things that you got to do to get more clients. And here's why. So, so I loved that picture and it really helped me to start to think about, things that we can release, right? Like right now, like we've, released a good amount of admin stuff. We are releasing client delivery. I'm releasing client delivery. I'm still, doing the strategy and doing all the things, but I'm building a team of people who can start to eventually be to the point where they can do it, right? They know my methodology. I teach them, I train them, I help them, I guide them. I give them all the knowledge I need, but I also hire excellent people to be able to do what we can do, right? I hire amazing folks, right? Who are experts in what they do. So I can start to release some of the client delivery, right? I'm still doing all the marketing, still doing all the sales, right? But it gives me a picture of all the things that I can start to release. And when it comes to your marketing specifically, here's why you need to release your marketing. Because I know you're thinking like, well, I want to be the face of my brand. And, like nobody can do it like me, right? I get it. But the reasons you need to release your marketing is one, when you're too busy, you become the bottleneck. Don't sit there and lie to yourself or lie to the podcast, to your headphones that's not true. It's true for me too, right? So you go to a 3-day conference and your marketing stops. That cannot happen as you're scaling and getting bigger, right? It cannot happen as you're trying to get to that next level. Another reason is because when the bigger you get, the more marketing you're going to have to do, right? So that means you have a lot more moving pieces and you can't keep up with all of it, right? And be the CEO at the same time, right? You can't possibly keep up with all the trending reels and still be the person who is, who is trying to who's securing the sales and building the relationships and building the partnerships, right? And giving the speeches, right? And having the conferences, right? Like you can't possibly do all of that, especially as you have to do more, right? And the third reason, the last reason you need to really release your marketing is because marketing isn't your zone of genius. So you have blind spots, like not knowing what data to look at and how to influence it, right? I live and breathe marketing. That's something I love to do. I promise you, I love it. It is my zone of genius. It's my team's zone of genius. So we know what we're looking at, right? And sometimes it's also like you ever heard the saying like, you can't see the label from inside the jar, right? Like, yes, you've been doing all this marketing and yes, you've been growing your business and yes, you are successful. But if you want to grow and take exponential leaps and take things to the next level, you have to be able to start to release that so that you can reallocate your time, right? That's what it's about. It's about making sure that your time is well spent. Because when you started, you had to be the chief everything officer. I get it. But as you grow, you need to start to release these tasks that are not in your zone of genius, right? Things so that you can find those, so that you have someone identifying those opportunities for growth, somebody seeing, your label from a different vantage point, from the vantage point that your clients see your marketing from, right? If we're thinking about it, when you do those things, you have more time to lead. Because that's what we're supposed to be doing as a CEO. We're leading. We're building strategic partnerships. We're focusing on sales. We're driving the vision of the business. Rachel Rogers, author of We Should All Be Millionaires, fantastic book. She's not sending her own emails. She's not in there in ConvertKit scheduling emails. Myron Golding is not writing his social media captions, right? He's not going in there every week and spending 3 hours writing social media captions. Lamar Tyler isn't going in and running and managing his ads, right? He's not going in there and every day looking at the ads and optimizing and building new campaigns. And no, Amy Porterfield is not writing her own blogs, right? If you listen to her podcast, she'll tell you that, right? That she has a content team and her content team is responsible for getting all this content out. She records the podcast. She is the face of her brand, but she's not writing all the blogs. She's not writing all the lead magnets, right? That's not what she's doing. And it's because their time is better spent on higher level tasks. So you can be the face of your brand and not be involved in the day-to-day. The pilot of a plane is not worried about what snacks each passenger is going to get while they're flying. They're focused on getting the plane in the air safely, getting us to a destination safely. The flight attendants are not focused on maintaining the plane speed so that we can stay in the air, right? They're focused on other things. But one can't happen without the other, right? Pilots can't just have a bunch of, hundreds of people on the plane with nobody back there to make sure that they have snacks and answer questions and nobody, passes out or has, or is injured or anything like that, right? Or making sure people put their luggage in the right way. The pilot's not doing that. Okay. The flight attendant is also not up there making sure that, we are maintaining the right speed or that we're at the right altitude. That's not their role. That's not their job. But they, the flight attendant with hundreds of people back there and nobody to take this plane off, you better believe they're going to have a problem, right? You got 200 people on the flight. You got 3 flight attendants, but we've been sitting on the tarmac for 2 hours because the pilot's not here. That's a problem, right? So, to recap, these are the 3 mistakes small businesses make that keep them stuck at 6 figures. 1 is you're focusing on that new all the time. 2 is ignoring your data. And 3 is that you're holding on your marketing too long, or you're holding on to some of these other kind of tasks way too long. It's time for you to sit in the pilot seat. My team will help you to get out of the day-to-day and help your team to build a marketing machine that operates without you, or at least giving you the roadmap that you need to create the growth so that way you can build the team and give you advice on who you should have on your team to make sure that you don't put your, that so that you can start to, remove yourself from your marketing and you don't become the bottleneck. So if that's something that you are looking to do, that's you look up to those people I mentioned, the Amy Porterfields, the Rachel Rodgers, the Lamar Tylers, you look up to those people, that's who you want to be, right? You got to really start to carve the path now. You got to start to think about your marketing more expansively. You got to get out of the day-to-day so that you can do the things that are required to create significant growth in your business. And so that's something that you want. Is that something that you need? I need you to go ahead and book a call with me so we can talk about it. Or you can send me a DM on Facebook so we can talk about where you're at now, where you're trying to get to, and I can recommend the offer that will help you to get there, right? That'll help you to get there the most efficiently. And so all the links are in the show notes, or you can go to stacyzeal.co/call. That's stacyzeal.co/call. Fill out our form. Give me a little background information about you and book that call. And I'll see you on the next episode. I hope that y'all found this valuable. Make sure that you are sharing it with a friend. You are, sharing it on social, tag me in it. I'd love to see it. Okay. But that's what I got for y'all today. I hope that this was helpful. I can definitely help you to, figure out how to stop making these mistakes if you are. So just hit me up and we'll talk about it. All right, y'all. See y'all next episode. OMG, that episode was packed with gems. Are you ready for more? Head over to stacyzeal.co/podcast to get the show notes and to sign up to get our top 5 podcast episodes to help you streamline your marketing so you can make this your $1 million year. Head over to stacyzeal.co/podcast.